Welcome back to another episode of Let's Have a Sip. I'm your host, Sean Drinks.
We're live, and I'm going to start this episode a little bit different, just a little bit different. So I'll introduce you in a second, big dog, but I want to do like a little rapid. I'm going to do a rapid review of what I'm drinking. That's something that I haven't I haven't done that really too much on each episode. I don't really talk about what I'm drinking unless someone asks me or it just comes up in conversation. So we're going to try a little bit of a little project. So rapid review of the Prideful Goat. This is actually pretty damn good. It is a straight rye whiskey, unfiltered, cask strength. Shout out to Randy Sullivan. He is the host of a podcast called Bourbon Real Talk. And then shout out to Christopher Hart, aka Whiskey Pete. He runs a podcast up in, I think, Houston. So he's like on ESPN radio, all that stuff. And it's some good stuff. The Prideful Goat, 6 year. It's my jam. So cheers.
Cheers. That's what's up. Can I add to that?
Yeah, add to it, man.
Because I think that's cool if that even happened, because I'm always trying to find new things to drink. And for the longest, I've been a brandy whiskey type of person. And I recently had started liking tequila.
Okay.
That was my thing. And because of it, that's what I've been aiming to drink when I get a moment to drink. But I'm not going to lie, what I have in my glass right now is just vodka and watermelon juice. Just for now.
So what you're telling me is, well, at least it's not like straight vodka, because if it was straight vodka, I'd be like, you're a murderer.
No, I can't do that. I am no longer 19 years old. So
yeah, dude. Yeah, I know. I totally feel you on that, because it's giving me flashbacks of whenever I was in college, and I'm like, what was I doing?
It's how did you even do the laps of alcohol that you did? And then you're like, okay, I'm an adult now, so now it's about sipping for the occasion.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So I noticed, I was looking at your Instagram a little while ago, and I was like, okay, his middle name's Sebastian. And then you typed up Sebastian. As you got into the stream, you can add your name for everyone.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah. So do you normally go by Sebastian or Darius?
All right. I'm going to try to give the short of a long story. But I'll start with my full name is Darius Sebastian Yancey. And I'm from the Midwest, here in Indiana. And everybody would call me Darius. And then on their account, when I got to Illinois, changed to Yancey. This was not my call. Track coach used to call me Yancemeister, Yancey Pants, but we're not gonna go deep into that. And I just accepted it. And then when I got to Texas, it was right before coming to Texas. Just being real with you, I have always not wanted to go by my middle name, so I disliked it because my brother. He actually had a play in naming me. And it's because when The Little Mermaid came out, when I was born and such, he literally told my mom to give me the name Sebastian, which made it a joke. And I just got to a point, though, where I decided, I'm like, I dig my middle name. I'm going to own my middle name. And now that is the case. And it was, lastly, I'll say it was super funny because when I was playing Call of Duty with some friends from all different places that I've lived, one person was like, Yancey, I need you to da-da-da. Another person was like, Sebastian, Darius. Then one person was like, yo, wait, who are y'all talking about? It was like, okay, let's fix this right now. But yeah.
Okay, I got you. I was wondering because I was like, damn, have I been calling him the wrong name? I was like, no, I'm not.
No, so. You're good. It's all on the birth certificate. We golden.
I got you, man. So now I know you are Courtney, my fiance's personal trainer, and you work at a gym. It's a very specific gym. It's an MMA gym, correct?
Yes.
And
FORTIS MMA.
FORTIS MMA. So I've never been there. I'd like to come down there at some point. It's in Deep Ellum in Texas, right?
Yes.
Or in Dallas.
Yes,
so yeah, I was seeing that your coach, Saif, is that his name?
Yeah, Saif.
That dude's a bad motherfucker, man.
He is my number one. He is my number one mentor. Has been for some time, and he just the overall has been a great example, not just for me, but the community of not just fighters, but people inside that gym. As you said, and I was telling you, it is an MMA gym, and they do kind of come with a certain type of stereotypes. It's like, oh, it's this type of people or this or that. It's family when you come in. That's why Courtney's comfortable coming there. We go over striking sometimes, and then we're also doing a lot of strength training while walking amongst these UFC lions that are just right there. It's like, hey, what's up? It's not the vibe to make you feel this ain't a place I want to be. And it's just, again, I credit that to him and how he's able to build a rapport with everybody that comes in. Like, if you're not a fighter, he gonna still want to know your name, this and that, how you doing. Yeah, and you will meet him when you come through.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll have to come through there at some point. It's I love gyms. Like I just like gyms in general. So but you at some point Courtney had mentioned to me that you were you yourself used to be a fighter, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
You
did.
want you want to
If
speak on that?
Yeah. I have fought from 2009 till 2000 and beginning of 13, I believe. And I fought amateur and pro. Um, my record as an amateur was 8-2, and as a pro, it was 3-5. And the way I got into it was my substitute art teacher. He was talking about his nose at the time in class, and this was in high school. And I'm like, well, I want to know about what happened. He starts talking about MMA. So now I'm talking about wrestling. He's like, it sounds like you're doing jujitsu on a wrestling mat. And I was like, what's jujitsu? That was when my life had really took a hardcore change. He took me to my first fights. And then I just kind of had this moment when I was at a match. I was like, I think I can do that. I was like, I think I want to do that. And after high school, it just span off into its own thing. And I got to travel a ton. And then going pro, that was a really, really great time too. I had my first fight in El Paso, Texas, which I didn't know that I would even be in Texas. And then boom, there it is. And my stopping point came early because not because of injury, not because of loss. I appreciate the losses and the wins, but I got raffled at a certain gym I was working at. I got put into a raffle for someone to be able to train with me. And when I got to train this woman, and she was talking about how she felt afterwards, it was like incomparable, man. Like, it was all that whole time before doing that with her and many more was about me focusing on how do I make myself better? How do I go about getting this, all this for me? And also with, people wanting to do sponsors and give you. And then I've sent them in this moment now. And I'm like, how do I keep giving that now? How do I keep giving that? And I just actually around that time met Safe. And when I met him, I ended up hooking up with him. And he had fussed at me one time. I remember he was like, "Why the fuck aren't you in training? Supposed to be here." And I was scared because I was like, I just got in good with this guy right here that we see all over this stuff. And so I messaged him and I was like, "Coach, I'm so sorry, but I'm in a tough spot because the first time in my life, I feel like the fact that I love something more than competing, I feel like I'm cheating on my sport, and I'd rather be giving most of my time to helping someone else progress themselves." And he was really, really good about the situation and told me that he's like, I want you to still fight because you're good and you do this and this and this. He's like, but you are also doing what I'm doing for all the fighters, and that's a service. And if God has put you on that and put that on your heart at an early age before injury or anything, I don't think you should deny it. He was like, we're gonna still aim to train and have the goal of fighting, but every time you get a chance to do more for others, do it. And I was just like, huh. It was like a weight was lifted. And then to bring the story to a close, um, before he had FORTIS MMA, he had always would check in on me because I did have moments where I wasn't fighting, training at the pace of which I was. And one day he said, "What are you up to?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just chilling out to my client." I hear a honk. I'm on the street, and he is right next to me in his truck. Rolls down his window, says, "Follow me." And I'm just like, "What the where did you come? Like, where did you even come from?" He takes me to this abandoned building, which was going to be Fortis, and he said, "I'm going to make this the number one ranked gym in the world, and I want you to be one of the trainers here." And I was just like, "Okay." And next thing you know, I went to my other gym. I told him, gotta go. And some months passed, almost a year, and now FORTIS MMA has been ranked #1 in the world multiple times. I think this right now and they're voting again. So if you get the chance, and I'll probably have to send you the link to vote for the gym to be ranked #1 again.
Let's get to voting. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. So I'm sorry about that. I know that was a long story on it, but that's my MMA story, more or less.
No, you're good, man. I mean, because I've told people on this, like whenever they come on before, it's like the whole point of this is to talk about, what it is that you're doing, and we're just shooting the shit, man. It's all good. So,
all right, cool.
But yeah, so now I know you have a background in board games as well, which is super cool.
Yes.
And I had the opportunity to play one of your games. I don't know necessarily how many board games you've created, but it was Caves of the Tethered, which was super interesting. And yeah, so
I have made so far. I had to write it down last week. I think I'm at eight different ones, and Caves of the Tethered, that was one of all of them that I get most excited to play and practice, just because of the strategy of trying to find a partner and getting an artifact, and just getting to that point of like, all right, now we're partners. How do we escape these caves and everybody else in these caves that want to stop us from winning the game? I just saying that those sentences right there, for me, it feels like that's an interesting time, whether you're playing it or watching it. Of course, with some fixing of the rules, whether you're playing it or watching it, that's a really cool thing to see,
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, what was your inspiration to get into board games?
My mother-in-law. I'll say her for now, and the reason why is because when we moved into our house, she had a small Marvel figurine, like it was a little stand, and she was like, "Oh, you can get it to your daughter," because I love Marvel, and I was like, "Cool." My wife was like, "It might be a choking hazard." I was like, "But I'll still take it." And I see him sitting up there like a boss, Spider-Man, hanging the way he should. Look, I gotta pause and say, so there's a lot of times people have all kinds of things in their background that represent different characters for stuff. If you just had Spider-Man sitting somewhere, it would still be awesome. But you don't just have him sitting somewhere. It's iconic because he is upside down doing what Spider-Man does. So like that is representation at its finest right there.
That's right. And that's how I usually try to kiss Courtney, is upside down. I'm like, here comes this Spider-Man kiss. So
hey, we got to change it up. No, man. But after she did that, I took it home, and my mind started just like looking at it, and what you're kind of looking at right now. It was supposed to be a theater room, and it ended up changing to, I can make a board game based off of this. And then my mind first, it's a story. It's almost like a story, a creation, bringing a story to life. So I've already watched like the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, those movies. So when I'm looking at this character, I was like, I'm going to take the MCU and let's see how I can put this into a route, as though we are players and we are now these heroes trying to get through it at a certain pace to stop the main villain. Which is funny enough, I made my main villain Kane, and he's about to be the next phase's villain. So it was like I was ahead of the curve. But it was just on cardboard at first, man, and I told my wife it wasn't going to be anything serious, but my brain sparked it to do it. So I took some people to a cafe, and I'm so shocked and thankful again that they were willing to meet up with the guy who trains people in MMA, who is saying, "Hey, look at my big cardboard project. Can you meet me at this coffee shop and let's just roll dice?" Like it literally looked just like that. They're like, "Cool," and it ended up being a good time. And it just kept spiraling. I had a moment where I said, "No," like it's just like it's like, I mean, it's a board game. Like, who's gonna play? But then after having the right type of verbal support from people to get the confidence to do it, I went from making something that would be for Marvel to now me just taking the storytelling aspect of my mind and truly writing my own stories, and then creating board games based off of that. That doesn't exactly cause you to have to read a story, but it's helped me to create a base level for a game that we can roll the dice, move pieces, laugh, compete, and have a good time. And it's still a learning process too, though.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think the inspiration behind it's super cool because I think that's one thing that we have in common is like my love for specifically Marvel. Some DC characters are cool, but like Marvel is just my shit, man. And like so
Yeah.
the whole point of me actually even getting into Marvel was or the backstory, if you will. This is my origin story about how I got my powers.
Let's do it.
So my mom would always be like, "Hey, let's go to an antique store or a thrift shop or something." But it wasn't just like local. It was like, "Hey, we're gonna like," because I grew up in New Orleans, and
Gotcha.
um, so back whenever I was in middle school, that was kind of like whenever I first really started kind of getting into it. And she was like, "Hey, let's go to
Yeah.
this antique shop. You know, it's in Mississippi or it's in Alabama."
Whoa.
Like we would go everywhere, and I'd find these comic books. They'd be like $2, $1, whatever. I'm like, "Hey, mom, can I get this?" Cool, yeah, and that's kind of like where everything started. So I'd read them, and then it got to the point where I was collecting them based off of like what the actual comic book was, and then if it was actually
Wow.
a key issue and the condition of it as well. Because and that still transitions into what I'm doing today. I don't do it as much anymore, but like I
Hmm.
collected a lot of like first like key appearances. I would get them graded by CGC. I'm sure you're familiar with what that is, right? CGC.
Continue. Go ahead, tell me, share with me.
So okay, so for everyone that does not
Yeah.
know, CGC is Certified Guaranteed Company. I'm pretty sure that's what it
Mhm.
stands for. So it's pretty much just like a service to where you can be like, hey, I got the first appearance of Venom, if you will, and
I got you.
so that's Amazing Spider-Man 300. That's a pretty famous comic book, and if you find it, it's going to be pretty expensive. So if you send it off to this company, they're going to grade it based off of condition, whether the spine's good,
Yeah.
just the whole condition of the whole book, and they'll send it back based on a grading of 0.0 to 10.0, and
That
if
is
you get
cool. That's knowledge for me, man.
and if you get that book back and it's a 9.8 or higher, which it's very hard to get anything over 9.8, but it's it, it's I mean, you're good to go if that's the
Mm.
case. So, you know, once I kind of went full time with my job with UPS, I was buying books out the ass, and I'd get them
Dang. Okay.
graded, and I don't do it too much anymore, but dude, I look back at some of the books that I used to have whenever I was growing up, and I'm like, I gave that shit away. Like it's the books that cost like $1,000 a book or something. I'm like, dude, what was I doing? So,
Man,
but
I'm gonna tell you, I gotta say, I give a shout out to your mom, like shout out because her taking you to these spots and making those opportunities possible. That is so freaking cool. I hope don't not to get off on a tangent, but like as parents, I mean, like me being a parent now, just think about the responsibility we have to yes, put in that stern place of where the child you would want the child to go, but also giving them the opportunities to see what you saw. You know what I'm saying? You it's just because it's beyond the normal route, and it opened up so many more doors to you, which led you now to having this trademark Spider-Man just sitting there like, wow.
that's
you
right.
know?
Yeah. Shout out to
So
Mama
yeah.
Brooks. Shout out to Mama
There,
Brooks.
shout out to Mama
Yeah.
Brooks. There we
Yeah.
go, man.
Hey, I love you, Mama. So, but
There you go. Had a mama moment.
but yeah, no, it's something that like for my brother and I, that's what we've kind of connected on. That's kind of what we have in common as well. It's like, hey, did you hear about, the new She-Hulk show that just came out? Or hey, did you hear about who's gonna be in Blade, the new Blade? And just like all these movies with Marvel and stuff like that. So it's really cool to kind of like see back in like the 90s and early 2000s where like I was really into comic books
Yeah.
and then see how um it's become so mainstream now. And
It was a big shift, man. It was a I feel like it was a big shift, not just for comic books, just for nerd shit. Which is let's just say just for nerd shit. Um and I all when it comes to the board games, I don't mind saying that Marvel, DC, cartoons, movies, sci-fi, any of that fantasy stuff, they all had a way of inspiring the creation of these board games. Like I've wrote down more than games than I've made, from the point of a horror aspect. You're all players trying to escape this certain horror house, and the house has certain ways that you can get to the next level, hide from the certain ghouls on certain blocks, and at certain rolls you hit that puts you in the position to where you're going to get caught up by them if you don't have said items of the lost. Like, so it's and this, even though I'm saying this to the point of a board game, I've got to the point where I know that these computers we have, man, my mind is already stored. It's just stored what I got to see in this movie. Some of my favorite movies, Insidious. I love that. I love that they're traveling through the astral realm and trying to escape this situation. From the Marvel movies, yes, the heroes, and I will speak to something that's been big for me, is I've been doing, like I said, all the writing. I've wrote a lot of stories, on characters. I have 100 and something characters, original characters that I've made now, and I'm in process of making P4P trading cards, and with that, I'm trying to work through how do I make these cards playable but with dice. So there's
Okay.
attack points.
Let's rewind a little bit. Sorry.
Sorry, I start going. My bad.
No. You're good, because I have a question. So, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know what you meant by P for piece. Exactly. What is that exactly?
Playing for people.
Okay.
Playing for people. So yeah, it's playing for people. Board games and short stories. The name is trademarked, but it originally was trademarked because I had a podcast some time back where we would play games and we would discuss things. And COVID came, shook things up, which slowed it down, but I still had it. And when I started to do the board games and I started writing stories, I was like, well, I got to the point where I was like, I'm in this for 10 years. I want to legit make this a real business. And the name came back to me. I was like, well, I still have ownership. Why not just go ahead playing for people board games and short stories? And so it's become this whole thing that I do sometimes have a tough time giving a summation of. So to the best of my ability, I will say, I write the stories and I make the board games. And around that, the shirt that I'm wearing right now is my son's character. I'll show.
Okay. Ezra,
Ezra.
Spirit. Okay, Spirit Within. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I wore it when he was born too, and all the nurses were like, it was like, you should start making shirts for dads. It was like, we always do things for women, but you should have something for the dads to come into. I was like, oh, that's cool. But he's gonna grow up, and I get excited about this. He's gonna grow up and learn or read his character in a book. That is so huge to me. I don't know how he's gonna feel when he finds out that his character, is called the Planet Destroyer. But hey, hey, at least he's took out the bad guys. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And to that, what we were talking about when it comes to the Marvel and DC, they're the Bible of superheroes. So you gotta, when I'm making these characters, my mind is like, how do I make a character, but not just be a rinse of Superman, a rinse of Spider-Man? Because before they were Marvel and DC, they were just one. And then they split, and now you can kind of see the resemblance of Hawkeye, Green Arrow. You see, it's like you go through Doctor Strange. I can't remember the guy. He's about to be in Black Adam right now.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name. I think it's Dr. Fate. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong and I butchered this, I'm sorry for any nerds out there. I think it's Dr. Fate, though. But it's making one and then me pulling off and not being of that. And there's one example I'll give is there's a planet where Phytomians live. And on this planet, what makes them grow is two things. One, their DNA binds to the feeling that they are most dominant in. So if you're courageous in most of your actions,
than you are from courageous. And even the food, the feast, the food you hunt, it's all bigger because you're the people that go for the biggest stuff. Then you have calm rage, cowardonian, and it's just that was me basing it off the bond between your DNA and your feeling, and that's how you are decided where you reside. But I don't know. That's one. That's one of many.
Yeah, I love this shit, man. I was just randomly thinking about. Well, it wasn't random. I was thinking about Kevin Smith. I'm sure you know who Kevin Smith is, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I don't really watch it too much anymore, but he has a podcast that he co-hosts with Mark Bernardin, I think is his name. I can't remember. Some dude that works for the Washington Post, and now he's kind of in the entertainment industry, if you will. And they have a podcast that they host at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, which is a bar on Hollywood Boulevard, and it used to be called Fat Man on Batman, I think. So originally, when it started, I think they were just like specifically talking about stuff about Batman, whatever. And then they were like, you know what? We don't really talk about Batman too much anymore, so let's change it up. So it's called Fat Man Beyond. And he used to be, and Kevin Smith used to be fat as shit, and now he's like, changed his whole life around, and he's more. He's become more mobile. He's aware of like what he's eating and stuff like that. Because I think he had a heart attack post show. Like he was doing a stand up.
Wow.
I don't remember. And like after the show, he had a heart attack in the back, and he was like, "I've got to do something."
Jeez.
So I think his daughter Harley Quinn is his daughter's name, Harley Quinn Smith.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, damn, he is dedicated to the cause. So and I just think, I don't know. I just like what he does. I don't know. It's just cool.
No,
so
I see. I have to add something because you said Harley Quinn. My daughter's name is Nora, and my son's name is Ezra. So Nora was my wife's idea. Like it wasn't going to be mine anyway. We weren't going to agree on what I wanted. But anyway, when she brought up Nora, I said, "Oh, cool." In the back of my mind, I said, "Cool," because when it comes to DC, I am a huge Flash fan. I will be honest. I watched that show on the CW. I've been pulling off because it's, eventually sometimes the season, they don't go the same route. But anyway, Nora is Flash's daughter's name. And so a week passed and my wife came back to me before Nora was born. I was like, "I know why you agreed to Nora." I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, "No, it's a beautiful name. It is.
Yeah.
It is." So I was like, that's why. So then, cycle around about 2 years. We try to find a name for Ezra, going through the little motions. No, yes, no, yes, no. And then she says, "How about Ezra?" And I go, cool. And she goes, "Wait." It didn't take her that long. She's like, "Wait, that's the actor that's about to play Flash." And I was like, "Yeah, but, that ain't why I'm saying it. It's all good." And so now we have Ezra and Nora, who are both the names more or less tied to Flash, aside from the things that have been pushed out of media. Yes. But yeah. That's how that worked out.
Yeah, no, he's been on the media quite a lot here lately. But
yeah. I'm not gonna speak on it. I'll say things happen with people and we just end up getting to see the worst of folks at all times. It's what sells, sadly.
Yeah, pretty much. So, well, speaking of Ezra, one of my favorite bands, they're from New Orleans. Okay. It's called Better Than Ezra. Have you heard of them?
I haven't, but I like that. That was pretty smooth.
Give me a second. I gotta play you a little snippet of one of their songs, man. Yeah, they're the jam.
Do it.
It's my jam. I can't believe you haven't heard of them before. But if I play this song and you're like, "I've never heard of it," I'm gonna be disappointed. I'm sorry. Like
okay.
it just is what it is.
I'll try. So, I'll try not to.
Okay, so I'll play this one. Can you hear this?
I can. Bring it closer. There it is.
You ever heard them?
I want to say that I have, but I'm going to also add what movie was that in?
I don't. Who knows, man? I feel like maybe American Pie.
It gave me some Ferris Bueller vibes.
Yeah. Well, Ferris Bueller
That's
came
not
out.
bad.
No. Well, Ferris Bueller came out in the '80s, but I don't think this was. I don't think that this band was made in the '80s. But I was thinking more like American Pie, maybe. I don't know.
You take me. Yeah, American Pie. I watched 1, 2, 3. I think 4. Yeah, American Wedding. I mean, if we're going legit, if we're talking legit American Pie, then the main ones was 1, 2, 3, and then American 4 was the legit ones. But I know they had a ton of spinoffs that I haven't seen.
Yeah, dude, they have so many. I mean, they brought them back for like American Reunion, and then I don't know some other ones as well. But yeah, they've had spinoffs and stuff like that. But you can't beat the originals
again.
You can't beat the originals, man. Oh yeah, no doubt. Courtney, we're watching them tonight. Okay, I don't know if you can hear me right now because I'm doing this podcast, but I'm yelling very loud. You might be downstairs. I don't know, but we're watching it. So you're gonna hate me for this. But anyways, so
no, it was. I was gonna share with you that as you know, I was out for 2 weeks when Ezra was born.
Yeah,
and I did get to. Go ahead. What was that?
I was just gonna say congratulations, by the way, because your baby is like 2 weeks old or something. So
yes, he is 2 weeks, and so far, any faces I make, unlike my daughter, he has always shown grouch. So he's letting me know right now, Dad, you're not as funny as you think. But I got the opportunity, and I got to make my first card game, and it is called Undead Deck, and it can be played in 10 minutes. Which actually I would love to play with you soon. We'll have to get at it. But the way it works is you have apocalypse cards, which is scenarios, and then you have solution cards, which is survivor cards for solutions. And we'll have up to 5 cards, and they're color categorized between weaponless attack, weapon attack, I think food, support, defense, and I think one more. But anyway, when the scenario card is put down, say find a family in an abandoned house, whoever is similar to speed, whoever puts the right solution down first wins. Now there are things on these cards that only allow you to put a set amount. I mean, there are things on these cards that allow you to only put certain types, so it really does come down to who's the fastest with their minds. I got to play it 5 times this week. I've lost every time. It's okay. I made them. That's what I always say. I made it, so that's enough for me. But it's been shown to be a good, fun, fast-paced time and cause a little cool debate with, like my wife told me to put on a card, and I did screwdriver to zombie head. She's like, that's an action. So
yeah,
I was like, okay.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, no, because I remember I'm pretty sure you told me about it one day. Whenever, because we had to reschedule for conflicting schedules and stuff like that. And you had mentioned it to me, and I was like, that sounds pretty damn cool, man. So, but yes, we do have to get together and play that. So I haven't really played too many board games a lot here recently until the last time I played one was whenever we met up at Manhattan Brewing here in Dallas. Gotcha. Pretty sure that's what it was called. Manhattan Brewing?
Yep, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, we went there and we played Caves of the Tethered, and I was like, this is pretty cool. But I normally would play like card games like Cards Against Humanity. I actually have it like right here. If you can see my fingers.
I see that. And that's what makes me a conundrum, bro, because I've made all these, and I'm about to get Battle of the Brews published, but I have not played board games before making them for almost more than 10 years. So, So it's like, but everybody smiles and all the joy that happens and just the excitement, it lets me know that I'm doing the right thing,
Yeah.
Like if they sucked, it'll be like if they sucked, then I'm like, well,
sorry,
but it works out.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, it all kind of comes back to like what you were talking about with, you transitioning from, fighting with MMA, and then kind of understanding like, okay, I want to, like, for lack of a better word, like, what is my why? Like, what am I doing to fulfill my life? Is this making me happy? Is it not? So you know, I mean, life's weird, man. So,
It's you don't. That's what you don't see it coming, and nothing you do you can see coming. And we are so sometimes cocky in our minds to assume that we know the route. Because if you would have told me um, 20 years back, right when I'm in this young 19-year-old over here training for MMA before even fighting, hey, well, guess what? I'm gonna have you building a board game. I would have been like, you are fucking stupid. like, like what? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you're not. You are going to be where you're going to be, and before you're there, it's no way you can understand or grasp the actions that you're going to take at that time in your life. Like it's stuff right now. If you would have told me about kids, I've just been like, how am I going to be ready for this? My mind at that moment isn't ready. But when the time comes, that is when you will be doing the deed of what you're supposed to. And for each year in life, whether it's fighting, whether it's us up on here having a little drink over a podcast, all kinds of things. They come when they're supposed to, not sooner.
yeah, no doubt, man. Life's crazy, everybody.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so
But
it's cool. I'm gonna keep it going, and I will be having I will give the first. You can hold me to this. I will be giving the first Battle of the Brews or board game tour in Dallas.
okay,
Hold me to that.
okay.
That
So,
means at 4 different bars.
so what exactly is that?
So, considering that with all these board games I've made, the one that has come to the best close when it comes to rules, gameplay, people quickly getting in, having a great time, it is my drinking board game, Battle of the Brews. And so far, I've been playing these already at different bars around Dallas. In my next plan, once of course, I've been waiting because I'm here with Ezra now, but my next goal is to go to these bars that I already go to, and I'm going to let them know I'm coming on this said day and try to get them to jump on board with what I'm already doing at the bar, and then promoting it as much as possible as Battle of the Brews board game tour for this drinking board game. From there, we're going to sign up people. Maybe if they're down for it, allow them to promote it as well. And then we'll leave like 2 or 3 open signups for the game. And on each weekend within 1 month, Friday, Saturday, the Battle of the Brews will be happening at these bars now with not just the knowledge of the people that come, but the knowledge of the people that are coming to that said bar and the town of Dallas. Because the game is so interactive, with what I mean by that is, so it gets a lot of people that's not playing get involved because of the cards as we're playing, and because it's so interactive in that way, it's just going to be a very different touch to see it moving at that level for that month every weekend. I've seen new friendships happen. I've seen a couple of guys and girls get numbers of other people, because and that's what I'm just going to start just watching the game, because as a creator, I've made it. I'm starting to make it be more in that direction of people that are just down to have fun, but like safe fun. And it doesn't aim to get you drunk, as I've structured it in a way, believe it or not, that it does come to a close after a certain person gets a certain amount of shots. But that it's so much I can go into about it. But again, it's just cool for me because I haven't seen this happen for a board game, and seeing everybody get together and just having the best time at a bar, rolling dice, getting up to go ask somebody a question from a card, and then getting back to the game. It's going to be different. It's going to be wild. And my overall goal with this board game and with all of them, honestly, is just seeing people get together, no matter where they come from, and just enjoy themselves. There's so many things in this world that tries to distract us from union, that tries to distract us from love, that tries to distract us from just being kind human beings to each other. It's like the word divide has almost gotten to the front seat of a lot of people's mind. So when I can get this board game, and the same thing when it comes to even just training people, when I can find something that can get you all just to smile together, this very moment that, yeah, we catch it on camera, but it really can't be caught, where you're just joyous with these random people we are one. We had a time that was worth it, and that shit just gets me going, man. I'm sorry, but it really does.
No, you're
That is
good,
the
man.
thing that
Yeah.
I'm making, man.
Yeah,
That is the thing that I'm making.
You do not need to be sorry about the way you feel. I fucking love that shit, man. So, for everyone that is watching and listening, if they want to use your services, and if you're local to Dallas and you want to change your circumstances, whether you don't feel very good mentally or physically, if they wanted to come to you, how could they do that?
They could reach out to me on Instagram at movehq.fun. Also, I have my website, which is movehq.fun. It would have been .com, but I chose .fun. Plus, a lot of people don't know how to have it anymore, so that worked out. And for the board games, which I do host on weekends, Fridays, and Saturdays, whether it be in the day or in the night. If you want to join one of these local playtests, that's what they are. There are tons of playtests. You can reach out to P4P Board Games on Instagram as well. P number 4 and then another P Board Games. And what else? There's a ton more. But from there, you click the link within the bio and you'll be able to find everything you need. That is me. Well, that I can give you.
Got you. And y'all heard it here. Until next time, everybody. Peace.